Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're tackling something a little different. We're going to be looking at this YouTube script called How to Become Unstoppable in Life.
Ooh, interesting. YouTube, you say?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Great ideas can pop up just about anywhere.
True, true. That's a good point. And who doesn't want to feel a little unstoppable now and then?
Exactly. So this script, it actually breaks down the whole becoming unstoppable thing into 5 steps. And that's what we're going to be diving into today.
A five-step plan to unstoppableness, huh?
Ah.
I like it. Straightforward, practical.
Right. Okay, so step one, the first thing they hit you with is believe in your vision, which I think makes a lot of sense.
Oh, absolutely. It's like
Yeah.
that classic saying, if you can dream it, you can do it.
Yeah, exactly. The script actually compares it to having a destination in mind before you start a journey,
Yeah, I like that analogy. Makes it really
Yeah.
clear. I mean, imagine trying to go on a trip without knowing where you're headed. Total chaos, right?
Right. And this script, it takes it a step further. It talks about all these successful people throughout history and how they all had this clear vision that just totally consumed them.
It's almost like that vision takes on a life of its own,
Yeah.
becomes this driving force pushing you forward.
Absolutely. Now, step two gets into something that I think a lot of us struggle with, and that's failure.
Oh, yes, the dreaded F word.
Right. But the script calls this step embrace failure as part of growth, which I think is pretty powerful.
It's a complete mindset shift, right?
Mhm.
Instead of seeing failure as this like end of the world scenario,
Yeah.
it's like reframing it as feedback.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this didn't work, so what can I learn from it?
Totally. I remember this one time early in my career, I completely bombed this presentation, like majorly messed it
Oh,
up.
oh no, what happened?
Oh, you name it, it went wrong. Tech issues, I forgot what I was going to say. The whole 9 yards. I was mortified.
Oh, we bet.
But you know what? It was actually one of the best things that could happen to me because after that, I was like, okay, I never want to feel that unprepared again. So I totally revamped my whole approach to presentations. And you know what? It worked.
There you go. You turn that failure into a learning experience, and it made you better in the long run.
Exactly. Now, step three in the Unstoppable Guide is all about routines. It's called Build a Strong Routine and Stick to It.
Ah, the power of routine. It's amazing how much structure and consistency can impact our lives.
Right. The script makes this point about how even small, consistent actions can build up over time. Like, they use the example of committing to just 10 minutes of exercise every day.
Yeah, I can see that. It's not about making these huge, overwhelming changes. It's about those small, manageable steps that you can actually stick with.
Exactly. So if you're listening, what's one small thing, like that 10-minute exercise, that you could commit to doing every day?
Because let me tell you, those small things, they add up. It's like the compound interest of personal growth.
Okay, on to step four. This one's all about who you surround yourself with.
Ah, yes, the company we keep. It's so crucial.
It really is. The script calls it surround yourself with positive influences.
It makes sense, right? I mean, if you're constantly around people who are negative or who don't support your goals, it's going to drag you down.
Well, for sure. I have this friend, she's amazing. She's always been so supportive of everything I do. Like, whenever I have a new idea, she's the first one I call.
I love that. Having those cheerleaders in your corner, people who believe in you, can make all the difference.
It makes all the difference. Now, for the final step, number 5, the script focuses on continuous learning and growth.
That's a big one. And so important, especially in today's world. Things are constantly changing. You have to be adaptable.
Totally. It's called keep learning and adapting.
So true. It's about being curious, staying open to new ideas, and always seeking out opportunities to learn and grow.
The script actually gives some examples like reading, taking courses, staying up to date on what's happening in your field, even just being curious about the world around you.
It's all about that growth mindset, believing that you can always learn and improve no matter where you are in life.
So true. And that's something I think we can all benefit from regardless of our goals. What's one area where you're hoping to keep learning?
That's a good question to ask yourself because learning, it shouldn't stop just because you've finished school or reached a certain point in your career.
Exactly. It should be a lifelong pursuit.
Absolutely. And what's so cool is that there are so many resources available these days. You can learn just about anything online.
It's incredible, right? The access we have to information and knowledge is mind-blowing.
I know, it really is. And it makes this whole idea of keep learning and adapting so much more attainable. You don't need to go back to school or anything like that. You can just dive in and start exploring.
I love that. And I think that's a perfect segue into the next part of our deep dive, where we'll be exploring some of the tools and resources that can help you on your journey to becoming unstoppable.
It's funny, right? We're talking about being unstoppable, and here we are taking a YouTube script and turning it into a whole deep dive.
I know, right? It's kind of meta, isn't it?
It really is, but I think it just goes to show that these ideas, these steps to becoming unstoppable, they can be applied anywhere.
Yeah. It doesn't matter where you find inspiration as long as you find it right.
Exactly. Okay, so thinking back on those 5 steps we talked about, they really do seem to build on each other.
Yeah, it's like a roadmap, or like you said earlier, a recipe.
And what I like is that it's not just a bunch of motivational fluff, you
Yeah.
know? It
Yeah.
gives you concrete things to do.
Totally. It's all about taking action. Like, as we've been talking, I've been thinking about my own routines and habits. I'm wondering, am I being as efficient as I could be?
That's a great question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
It's all about constantly reflecting and making adjustments.
I'm also thinking about that keep learning step. Maybe I should carve out some time each day to learn something new.
There you go. See? The script is already making you think about taking action.
You're right. It's like the script itself is unstoppable, spreading ideas and inspiring action. So now let's turn it over to you, our listeners.
What resonated with you most from what we've discussed today?
Was there a step that really stood out, or maybe something new you learned?
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe you're thinking about committing to a new routine or looking for a mentor.
Share your unstoppable moments or goals. Because remember, becoming unstoppable is not about being perfect. It's about resilience, you know?
It's about facing those challenges head on and not giving up. It's about seeing setbacks as just detours, not roadblocks.
Beautifully said. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's all hold on to that sense of possibility.
And remember, action is key. It's not enough to just listen and absorb. You got to take those ideas and put them into practice. Make that first step, even if it's tiny, and watch what happens.
Wow, I'm really surprised by how much we got out of that little YouTube script.
Right. It's proof that big things can come in small packages, I guess.
Totally. For me, I think the biggest takeaway was that focus on taking action. You know, it's not enough to just have dreams. You actually have to, like, do something.
Absolutely. It's that first step that's always the hardest.
Yeah.
But once you take it, it's like everything starts falling into place.
That's so true. I don't know if you've heard that quote, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Oh, yeah, classic.
Right.
And it really applies here, right? You don't have to do everything at once. Just start with one small thing.
Exactly. Just that one little action can set the whole thing in motion.
And as you keep taking those small steps, the momentum builds. And before you know it, you're well on your way.
It's amazing how that works, right? So as we wrap up our deep dive today, just remember, you have the power to make things happen.